When I first started off with street photography about 10 years ago now, my images were definitely a little bit boring. I had no idea what I was doing, my compositions were wonky, my edits were completely overdone, and I'm pretty sure that I was shooting in full auto as well. But since then, I'd like to say that my street photos have gotten a lot better, and hopefully you guys agree. I've been able to shoot in cities all around the world, and I've gotten to the point now where I can consistently walk away with great images every time I go out and shoot. But I have made a ton of mistakes along the way, and a lot of these mistakes are the same mistakes that I see a lot of other photographers making as well. So today in this video, I want to cover a few crucial mistakes that you might be making that are keeping your street photos looking a little bit boring, and how to fix those mistakes as well. And before we jump into it, I'm giving away a free Lightroom preset pack. There's a link down in the description, and I hope you guys enjoy. Now, the first mistake, and perhaps the most important, is your photos lack purpose. Let me explain. Street photography encompasses many different styles of photography. You have the more raw and confrontational style street photography, where you're sticking a camera in someone's face and getting really up close and personal to them. And then you also have the more observational style street photography, where you're trying to be discreet and you're trying to capture a candid photo in the most unbiased way possible. And there's even styles of street photography that aren't so much focused on the human experience, but they're more focused on capturing just beautiful scenes out on the street, where sometimes a person is the main subject, but sometimes they're just a supporting character in that image. And what I'm trying to say is there's no right or wrong way to do street photography. There's so many different styles that you can pursue, but your photo needs to fulfill a purpose. And every great street photo does at least one of these two things incredibly well. They either document a significant moment in time where the subject matter is really holding the weight in that image and it's telling a meaningful story about something that's happening in real life, or they're more focused on aesthetics and they're capturing an image that's visually beautiful, visually appealing, and the subject matter might not be all that important to that image. They're more concerned about the aesthetic and the visual appeal of that image. If your street photo is not doing at least one of these two things well, then there's nothing significant about that photo, and that's when your photos start to become boring. And ideally, you want to try and do both of these things if you can. You want to be able to document a scene, a really interesting scene, a really interesting moment in time, and document that scene in a beautiful way, paying close attention to the light, the color, the composition, and how all of those elements create a visually beautiful image. But I think it's really important to look at some of the street photos that you've taken in the past and ask yourself, what's the purpose of these images? Are they serving as a form of documentation? And if so, is that subject actually interesting to make this photo interesting, or are they more focused on aesthetics? And is that image visually beautiful? Because like I said, if a street photo is not doing either one of these things, then it really holds no weight and there's nothing interesting about it. But I want to know what type of photographer you are. Are you more focused on documenting scenes, or are you more focused on aesthetics and just capturing beautiful images? Let me know in the comments down below, because I think this is an interesting discussion point. Now, this next mistake has to do with editing, and there's a lot of editing mistakes that beginner photographers make, especially when it comes to street photography. But there's 3 specific sliders that I see overused more than any other adjustment in Lightroom or any other editing software for that matter. And these 3 sliders can absolutely wreck your street photos. And those 3 sliders are: number 1, the clarity slider; number 2, the highlight slider; and number 3, the shadow slider. For some reason, a lot of street photographers are really focused on capturing this super gritty street vibe, especially when they're shooting in more of a grungy city, like in certain parts of New York City, or if they're going to Southeast Asia, they're shooting in Bangkok or Vietnam. And when they import those photos into their editing software, one of the first things they do is ramp up that clarity slider, completely drop those highlights, and also increase the shadows as well. And this definitely gives your photo a super gritty look, but you can very quickly take this too far, to the point where your photo just looks way too HDR and wildly unnatural, and it's just not pleasing to the eye because there's just too much happening in that photo. Sometimes it actually looks better if you do let those highlights be super bright, or you do let their shadows be super dark. You don't always need to show everything in the image. So when you are editing your images, just be very careful what you're doing with these 3 sliders in particular. I personally like to actually drop the clarity down on a lot of my images, because I don't want every little detail to be overly distracting. And same thing with the highlights and the shadows. Yes, I do like to have a lot of dynamic range in my images, but I don't want it to look unnatural. So sometimes I'll allow those highlights to be super bright, or I'll allow those shadows to be super dark, because I think it looks better in the final image. So just keep this in mind next time you're editing, and I think you guys will benefit from it. Now, if you guys do want to edit like some of the images that you see in this video, all of my images in this video were edited with my Film Vibes preset pack, which is currently on sale. I'll put a link down down in the description and you guys can check that out. Now, the next mistake I see a lot of photographers making, and I made this one so much early on, but that is focusing too much on the subject and not the city itself. I see so many photographers go travel and shoot in these beautiful, super interesting cities, but when I look at some of their images, it almost looks like those photos could have been taken anywhere. And I think one of the biggest culprits here is shooting with a lens that's a little bit too zoomed in. Now, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love shooting with telephoto lenses. Even in cities, I like shooting at 200 millimeters because it gives you a level of compression that can look really cool in a photo. But if you're shooting all of your images at 85 or 100 or 200 millimeters, the field of view in those images is going to be so small that you're going to be leaving out a lot of really interesting elements that a city can offer your images. Yes, you can still shoot with a more zoomed in lens, but back up further and show us more of that scene. Show us the things that are happening around your subject. Incorporate secondary subjects in that scene to enhance the story of that main subject in your photo. A good example of this is street portraits, both candid portraits where the person doesn't know that you're photographing them, and also when they're actually posing for you and they're smiling for the camera. A lot of photographers will slap on an 85mm f1.4 and shoot that portrait, and the background is just completely blurred and the focus is 100% on that subject. Now, sometimes that's exactly what you need to do because the background is a little bit distracting. But I think in a lot of scenarios, those photos could benefit massively by showing more in that scene, by incorporating elements around that subject to support the story of that particular person. And that's why I personally like to shoot with a 35mm lens. Yes, shooting with a wide lens like this does make it difficult to get really intimate shots. You have to get pretty close to your subject to capture those images, but most importantly, it shows the scene and it tells a much deeper story about that particular place and that particular city. And that's personally what I am drawn to in my photography. This is actually one of the concepts that's discussed in a street photography class on Skillshare that I'm watching right now by Troy Baird, which has almost 9 hours of super useful street photography tips. And I've been finding it incredibly interesting so far. And Skillshare is actually the sponsor of today's video. Now, I'm sure you guys have heard of Skillshare before, but if you haven't, Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives with a massive range of topics ranging from illustration, graphic design, music, marketing, productivity, and of course, photography. And all of these classes are hands-on and practical classes that are taught by real, super talented and successful creatives. And even though I've been shooting for over 10 years now, which is crazy to think about, I still like to watch classes on Skillshare because it gives me insight into someone else's creative process, and there's always something new to learn from another photographer. You can never stop learning, and I like that Skillshare has a class for pretty much anything, no matter what you want to learn. But besides learning, I also teach on Skillshare as well. And over the years, I've uploaded over 19 photography courses that I think you guys will find useful, including my most recent class, which focuses on how to find your unique photography style. So if you guys do want to try out Skillshare, the first 500 people to use this QR code or click the first link in the description will get a 1-month free trial to Skillshare. Thank you so much, Skillshare, for sponsoring this video. I hope to see you guys in some of my classes there. Now let's get back to the video. Now, the next mistake on this list is something that I still find myself struggling with, even though I've been shooting for over a decade by this point, and that is not being patient enough. Now, I am a massive supporter of going out on foot and just roaming through a city with no direction, getting lost and just moving from place to place, searching for something interesting. But sometimes you're gonna stumble across a scene that is just too good to pass up, and all you need for that scene to be complete is for one person to walk into a very specific part of that image. When you stumble across a scene like that, the worst thing that you can do is move on too quickly. And that's why I like to follow what I like to call the minimum 5-minute rule, where you hang out for at least 5 minutes and you wait to see how that scene is going to unfold. Now, this is not a new concept whatsoever. I've talked about this in some of my other videos, and there's a lot of really famous photographers that have employed this principle as well. One of the most famous street photographers of all time, Henry Cartier-Bresson, coined this term, the decisive moment, where you sit around and you wait for that person to walk into the perfect part of your frame and you capture the photo at the perfect moment. Another one of my favorite photographers of all time, Van Ho, did this as well, and you can just see how impactful these images are because these photographers were patient. Patience really does go a long way with street photography. And like I said before, this is the minimum 5-minute rule. So if you need to hang out for 10, 20, 30 minutes, or even an hour, do it, because you might be capturing one of your favorite images of your entire portfolio. Now, the next mistake on this list is a quick one, and that is to keep your kit small. Go out with one camera and one lens and don't bring your whole setup with you. And there's a few reasons for this. Number one, having a smaller setup will mean you're more discreet on the street, so people won't notice you as much, which means you'll find it much easier to capture candid or unbiased photos on the street. And reason number two, and perhaps more importantly, every time you go to change your lens and you look away from your scene and you start fiddling around with your gear, the less present you're gonna be in that scene. The most important thing that you can possess as a street photographer is a deep level of observation. And this comes through presence. When you're out shooting and you're fully present, you notice so many more things that other people fail to notice. And the worst thing we can do is get in the way of that presence. So keep your kit small, try not to fiddle around with your gear, put your phone in your pocket, put it on silent, and just be present on the streets. Now, the next mistake on this list has to do with light, and that is not shooting in all of the different lighting scenarios that are offered to you in a city. One of the things we learned really early on with photography is that sunrise and sunset are the best times to shoot. And a lot of the time they are, but if you're shooting in a city, one of the worst things that you can do is confine your shooting times to only sunrise and sunset. The entire vibe and energy of a city can change depending on what time of day it is and how that light is interacting with the streets. And some cities even look their best in super bright, hard midday light. Light does all kinds of crazy stuff in a city. It reflects off of buildings, it spills into the roadways, you get some really strong, interesting shadows, and also at night you have all of these artificial lights that can create some really interesting and unique lighting scenarios that you should definitely try and capture. So if you're on a trip and you're shooting a city, shoot at all times of the day. Go out before sunrise, shoot through the morning, shoot in the middle of the day, and shoot at night as well, because you never know how that city's gonna look, because the entire vibe of that city might completely change hour by hour. Now, the next mistake on this list is being too slow with your camera and completely missing a beautiful moment that happens in front of you. You're gonna come across scenes where you're out shooting that happen incredibly quickly, and if you're not quick enough with your camera, you might miss it altogether. Now, I'm not saying you need to rush around and be in a hurry at all times while you're shooting. No, you can take things slow, but you do need to be nimble as a photographer, because moments happen incredibly quickly and those moments might not ever happen again. Now, my best piece of advice for being quick with your camera is to shoot in aperture priority, or even full auto for that matter, if you're not too comfortable with your camera settings. If you're trying to shoot in full manual mode all the time, I promise you there's gonna come a time when you miss a shot. But if you're shooting in aperture priority, that camera is gonna be able to detect the light in your scene much, much faster than you are and select a proper exposure for that particular photo. And most likely the settings that your camera will select in aperture priority will be exactly the same as the settings that you selected in full manual mode. And honestly, camera settings really aren't as important as so many people think they are. As long as you're getting somewhat close to the ideal camera settings of a scene, you're gonna be totally fine. So try and be quick when you're out shooting. Some cameras are really easy to be quick with, like my Sony A1 II. This thing is insane. I don't even have to think. I just point it at my subject, it focuses and takes the photo for me. Like, it's just a ridiculous camera. But if I'm shooting with something like my Fuji, I need to make sure that I stay on my tippy toes because the autofocus is not as fast on this thing, but I still don't find that it holds me back if I'm really present and I stay quick on my feet. Now, this final mistake is something that I think so many of us photographers can relate to, and that is you're not shooting enough. Because the truth about street photography, or any style of photography for that matter, is you're gonna spend days where you're gonna shoot 8, 10, 12 hours, and you might not get anything good on those days. But other days you're gonna go out to shoot and the stars are gonna align and you're gonna walk away with dozens of great photos from that day. You never really know what you're gonna stumble upon when you're out shooting in the street. And that's why I always like to say, the more you shoot, the luckier you're gonna get. A lot of street photography is all about being at the right place at the right time, and you're not gonna find yourself in that scenario unless you're actually out on the streets engaging with photography. Yes, I have shot some absolute heaters on the street, but what you don't see is the 8 hours that I spent walking around Tokyo looking for that shot to begin with. So this is a piece of advice that I think so many of us can benefit from. It's not always easy to get up and walk around all day in a city, but the more that you do go out and shoot, the more great photos that you will have in your portfolio. Now, these are all mistakes that I have personally made as a photographer, and they're also mistakes that I see in a lot of other photographers' work work as well. And there's probably a bunch of other mistakes that I could have included in this video as well. So if you guys do think there's a big mistake that I missed, drop a comment down below and let me know what that is. I'd love to chat with you guys down there a little bit more. But that is pretty much all for this one, guys. And thank you for dealing with my little makeshift studio setup here. I'm actually in Spain right now. I just got back from a trip to Belgium and I'm leaving tomorrow on a trip to the Canary Islands. So a lot of travel going on right now. I don't have access to my studio in Bali, but I hope the quality was still good for you guys. But once again, thank you guys so much. Let's chat down in the comments. And also thank you so much, Skillshare, for sponsoring this video and supporting the channel. And I will see you guys again very soon in the next one.